Today we'll be talking about our match against Manchester United that happened yesterday, and we'll be looking at three pivotal moments, in my opinion, in that game. We'll also be looking at the three best performances from the Arsenal players in that game, and also honourable mentions. And also we'll be looking at the three pieces of news that we've stumbled across this morning. Yes, it is morning in Canada. So stay tuned and welcome to Arsenal Stories. So we'll be treating three pivotal or important moments, in my opinion, in the match against Manchester United. The first is, I think Kai Havertz is low on confidence. You'd see in the clip that I'll be showing that he is a little unsure, or seems to be unsure about what his role is. Even in an interview, I can't quite find the clip now, Ian Wright talked about, some parts of the team being a little low on confidence, and it would come as they played more and more matches. You could see the clear-cut chance that he had, where he just miskicked the ball. Also, when you compare him to the other midfielders, Odegaard and Declan Rice, who he played with, you would see, and I'll put the clips or the images from data from SofaScore, where you'd see that, yes, he did have more ground duels compared to Declan Rice and Odegaard, but then the ratio of the duels versus the duels he actually won, a little lower than his counterparts in the midfield. I believe that Leandro Trossard might have done better in that position, considering that he can play. He can play just a bit ahead in midfield, as an attacking midfielder. And I figured that Trossard would have at least, even if he wouldn't have scored that same opportunity, but he would have at least had a shot on target at goal. Yes, so I don't want to dwell too much on Kai because, obviously there's a lot of pressure coming with the price tag and coming from Arsenal fans, because I know that we're not very patient people. And also there's a lot of talk on social media, and it doesn't help the player or his confidence either. So I'll just leave it that, let's hope that Kai builds up his confidence and we get to have a movie at the end of the season about how Kai got his groove back. There's talent in there. I'm just hoping that Arteta knows how to, bring that talent out and increase his confidence. Second most important part of that game was Marcus Rashford's goal. There's little you can do when he decides to shoot with his right foot. It was deja vu from the last time we played them, where we won 3-2. And just like you kind of can anticipate that when our player Bukayo Saka is moving to his, I think it's left foot, when he starts to kind of drill, run, and then move to the side, you kind of know that 8 times out of 10 he's going to take a shot. And that's almost the same thing with Marcus Rashford. And there's very little you can do if you're not covering your spaces properly, which I think Ben White and Saliba did as best as they could. And I was expecting Ramsdale to move a little to the right, considering that much of his left had already been covered. And, at the end of the day, he barely got a touch. He did touch the ball with his fingertips, but it's Marcus Rashford. Just like we know that when Bukayo Saka has those sort of shots, there's not too much you can do, especially if you don't cover your lines well. And moving on to the third important point that I did see in that match is Fabio Vieira. What a player he has evolved to become, if that's proper English. I believe this season might be his breakout season. I remember last season where he got a lot of stick about being too lightweight, being too small, having the wind blow him off the pitch. Arsenal social media can be crazy. But I see now, yes, he's still not big as a player, but you can see he's put on some more muscle. He looks stronger. He looks quicker. He looks hungry, right? And he seems to have become a super sub or an impact sub. He caused issues for Fulham when he came on, and you can see that immediately he came on against Manchester United, the tempo went up. He was driving down the middle, and he got an assist. And he reminds me. He seems to be our version of Bernardo Bernardo Silva for Manchester City's Bernardo Silva. He's I'm excited about what he has become and what also he could become, considering that we have a very young team. So that's my take. The three most important parts of that game, and I'll put a little clips if I do find them, in the edit about what Arsenal fans are saying on social media. Now, moving on to the players, there are very many honorable mentions, but I looked at FootMob, One Football, and SofaScore, and took down the average of the best three players that showed up in the top three. And I'll let you know the honorable mentions quickly, because that's the basically the topic of this podcast. Quickly, we had Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, and Gabriel Martinelli, who showed up three times in the top four of the football apps, FootMob, One Football, and SofaScore. We are not sponsored by any of them, by the way, but just wanted to make sure that I had an average and picked the best three. Honorable mentions were Gabriel Jesus, Ben White, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Mangales, and Fabio Vieira. I'm really proud of the boys. And we can also see that when Arteta stuck, and it could be because Partey was injured, but like the Bible will say that all things work together for good. This is not me being happy that Thomas Partey is injured, but it could be, and this is just me assuming, it could be that the absence of Thomas Partey and also Jurriën Timber forced Arteta to go back to the old system where we had four at the back. We had the usual back line with what's his name, with Ben White, Gabriel Saliba, and Zinchenko. Although obviously I would have preferred a Tierney, but Zinchenko seems to fit or suit Arteta's gameplay better. And then we had the midfield that, bar Partey, yes, we had the midfield, and we saw that the defending seemed to be a bit better. Yes, we got lucky on occasion, but I don't want to think of a Partey at right back facing Rashford. No, it's the stuff of nightmares. I don't want to think about that. So yeah, all things working together for good there. And then finally, we're looking at the three pieces of news that we stumbled upon. One is a little bit of an old news, but because it involves a former gunner, Alex Iwobi seems to have moved to Fulham. And to me, that basically says Everton is going to get relegated, because yes, Iwobi might not have been a prolific goal scorer, but he got that midfield ticking. He could dribble his way out of tight corners. He could give you that pass that you needed. He could open up spaces and such. And his experience, is something that I think the Everton team would miss, considering that Luton and I think Sheffield, is it, are at the bottom of the table. I don't think that they'll do any better without Iwobi. And other pieces of news include that Nicolas Pepe may be on his way to Besiktas. According to 90 Minutes, they let us know that the Turkish and the Saudi league windows are still open, but it looks like Besiktas would be finishing up negotiations with Arsenal for Nicolas Pepe. And also Roy Keane seems to have gotten a headbutt at the Emirates. I just hope it's not an Arsenal fan. We're usually known to be classy and better behaved than the lot down the road. So I'm hoping that it's a Manchester United fan that's the culprit and not an Arsenal fan. We need to, if it's an Arsenal fan, we need to have a better representation of ourselves here. So yeah, I know he can be annoying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not exactly a fan of Roy Keane, right from the time of his on-field, what's the word now? On-field, I don't want to call it competition, but his on-field aggression against Vieira. I'm not exactly a fan, but that doesn't mean he should be headbutted at our home at the Emirates. So that's about it, folks. I don't like to stay too long on podcasts because everyone's got things to do. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps the channel a lot. And also, if you're looking to go on an Arsenal tour of the Emirates or get your Arsenal kits, we have a small commission. It helps out the channel. Also, again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and get notified every time we have a new podcast. Thank you, guys, for listening. Have a good day.